the most essential part to every FPS game, gunfights. You can't play a single Valorant game without taking at least 10 gunfights. What does that mean for the average player who's trying to improve though? It means that if there's one thing you can do that will help you on every role, on every map, in every game, it's improving your gunfights. That being said, here's everything you need to improve your gunfights. Welcome back to Why You're Buns at Valorant. First of all, let's clear something up. Gunfights don't just consist of aim. There's actually 3 aspects to every gunfight: your raw aim, your movement, and your gun control. Let's start with everyone's favorite, raw aim. Your raw aim can be improved in a variety of ways, some more efficient than others. I've taken the time to test 2 of those methods so you don't have to, and here are the results. The first and most common method is improving your raw aim through the game. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Just do some flicking in the range, play a couple of death matches. That's enough for your aim to improve. Wrong! The reason you feel like you're getting better after a deathmatch or range session is more so because you're warming up rather than improving your baseline. Something you need to understand is that every player has variation in their mechanical skill every day. Essentially, you might aim really well one day and really poorly the next. Now here's the reason for this, followed by how to fix it. Your arm, wrist, and hands are muscles. You use these muscles to make repeated physical movements. We can compare these muscles to any other muscle in the body. You might be able to bench a PR of 200 pounds one day, and then not be able to bench that same 200 the next week. Muscles vary in physical output naturally. With all that being said, what can you do about it? In the case of your aim, the muscles are being used to make very fine-tuned adjustments, so it wouldn't make sense to strength train your forearm, for example. Rather, to increase your precision, you need to target the muscle group that makes a certain adjustment and continuously practice making those adjustments. Sound complicated? Well, the solution is simple. Aim train. This is the second method I mentioned earlier, and in my experience, the performance increase in my own raw aim before versus after aim training consistently is massive. With aim training, you're not just having higher highs, you're also increasing your baseline. What I mean by that is your worst aim day before aim training will be a lot worse than your worst aim day after aim training consistently. In short, you're building up your baseline and as a result, building up your consistency. Now, I'm still new to aim training myself, but here's the best advice I can give you. Find a playlist from a reputable aimer nerd which you find enjoyable enough to stick with daily. The one I use personally is from Maddie Overwatch, and I'll link his video explaining it in the description. Anyway, find a playlist that isn't too long or too short and make sure it focuses on 3 main scenarios of aiming: static and dynamic clicking, tracking, and target switching. For clicking scenarios, decrease your sensitivity slightly to exaggerate the movements and hence target your ability to make quick and accurate adjustments. For tracking scenarios, increase your sensitivity slightly to make tracking more uncomfortable, forcing more precision out of your wrist and fingertips. You're essentially trying to hyper-focus each muscle group individually and hence improve it. Lastly, for target switching scenarios, stick to your normal sense because switching usually contains a little bit of tracking and a little bit of flicking. Aim training in this way will make you see results in every FPS game you play, not just Valorant. Take my word for it. However, for Valorant, you need to improve at all 3 aspects of gunfights to actually see your fights look cleaner. That's why, if you've been aim training consistently, yet you still feel like your fights don't look significantly better, chances are your bottleneck lies with the other 2 aspects. So, next up is movement and gun control. These 2 are what silently destroy and halt most players' ability to achieve perfect gunfight technique. You see, it's crucial to understand that even with perfect aim, you can still whiff super often, and that's because of movement and gun control. For movement, understand that it varies heavily from one gun to the next. Let's start with pistols. All pistols other than the Frenzy are semi-automatic. What that means is even if you spam click or hold left click, you can only shoot as fast as the gun allows you to. And for every single semi, there's still recoil and hence a guaranteed downtime you need to wait before shooting your next bullet. But here's the good part. This downtime gives you the ability to move freely, waiting for your gun to reset. Obviously, it's not very long for most semis, but you can still use this time to strafe before you shoot your next bullet. Now, coupled with strafing, there is dead zoning, where you strafe back and forth, never letting go of your movement keys while still shooting fully accurate shots due to your momentum being 0 while changing directions. Obviously, each gun has its own downtime, and you need to perfect your shot timing on each gun to master this technique. Next up, we have automatic guns, but I'm only going to cover the rifles. The automatic rifles have the ability to shoot in 3 different ways. Tapping, best for when you're expecting multiple enemies in succession, bursting, best for most 1v1s, and spraying, the most common yet least useful shooting technique. So let's start with tapping. If you're tapping, you can apply everything I just spoke about for semis. The only difference is that since your gun is automatic now, you can do much tighter dead zones since the gun innately resets much quicker. Now, bursting. If you're bursting, you should be strafing in between bursts. It's similar to the technique for semis, but this time you can't dead zone, as dead zoning has a short window where you can only get 1 bullet off usually. So for bursting, burst 2 to 3 bullets, strafe while your bullets reset, and then burst again and strafe again. But here's something they don't tell you about. There's an unorthodox variant of spraying that has its fair share of use cases which I don't really know the name of, so I'm just going to call it accelerated bursting. Here's a side-by-side of what it looks like versus regular bursting. The main difference here is you're taking super short strafes, giving your gun way less time to reset, and bursting again. This requires you to have really good recoil control because you're essentially spraying with movement in between. It's a much more advanced technique and I wouldn't recommend the average player to learn it. But if you do want more details, I'll try to link a video that goes over it. Finally, for rifle shooting techniques, we have spraying. The most common yet least useful shooting technique. Spraying is really only viable when you're spamming a smoke, wallbanging, or shooting someone who's already low. There's a few more use cases, but those are the main ones. For spraying technique, it will mostly come from good recoil control easily practiced in the range, coupled with good target switching, which is in pretty much every good aim training playlist. It is the most forgiving technique, making it the easiest, but understand with the ease of spraying comes really low potential and skill ceiling. In my opinion, only stick to spraying if it matches your role really well, like most controllers and scan agents. As for everyone else, don't rely on spraying, it's just not good. Now, in general, if you want to improve at your gun control and general technique, look at a pro player's technique and mirror it in the range, and then apply it in a deathmatch. The same process for movement. Look at a pro, mirror their movements, and apply it in a deathmatch. For all things other than raw aim, the range is there for you to practice your technique, and deathmatch and team deathmatch are there for you to apply it and perfect it before going into a ranked game. If you want to see a perfect pro player who's also extremely funny, check out my Twitch and join my Discord server for coaching or to hang out with the community. First 500 people to join get a special role with special perks. Thank you all for watching and have a good rest of your day.